Well, we made it to the seventh, well, through the seventh episode of Daredevil Born Again. The last time we recorded, we were on, I think, 3 and 4. So we're doing 5, 6, and 7 since it's been a couple weeks, as usual for us. Um, yeah, I feel like there's a decent bit to talk through. I know episode 5 wasn't super long, and I don't think 6 was particularly long either. But yeah, we kind of left off last time at the end of episode 4 with a bit of a, I guess you call it a cliffhanger of sorts, where we see, Matt Murdock is now sort of wielding his stick spike chain. I don't know what you even call that thing. There's probably some martial arts name for it, but or comic book name, but kind of given the vibe that he might be donning the horns in the red suit again. So, and then obviously Wilson Fisk, we see he is holding his wife's, I guess, lover would be the proper way to put it, or former, in his creepy lair basement thing. So yeah, we kind of end with a bit of a cliffhanger in that regard. We get a glimpse of Muse, who is the supposed villain for at least a time, and so that's kind of where we are going into episode 5. This is a spoiler review, so if you do not want to be spoiled, then go do something else, because that's exactly what we're about to do. So yeah, so let's get into it. Episode 5. This is something that me and Scoozle talked about a little bit the other day over text, but this was a interesting episode because I feel like I told him, I said it felt very filler to me. Like it doesn't serve much of a narrative purpose other than maybe some character development for Matt Murdock. But so it was one of those that I feel like I got to the end of it and I was like, okay, well that happened, but I feel like I'm right back in the same spot I was at the end of episode 4. So yeah, I'm just be curious to kind of get y'all's take on what you thought. And just to kind of preface that, episode kind of starts with Matt. He's going to the bank. He's trying to get, I guess, a loan of some kind. I feel like I'm going back to Falcon and Winter Soldier or something, where we have all these superheroes hunting for loans, although he's not a known superhero. But anyway, he's going to the bank. He's trying to get some kind of loan, and in the process, these bank robbers bust up in there, and they're obviously after what we assume to be the money, but we obviously find out later not so much. But anyway, so that's kind of the setup for the episode, and then that's literally the entire episode takes place in the bank, I think. Did we get? I was trying to remember how much of Fisk we got in this episode. Y'all might be able to help me out with that, but yeah, what were y'all's thoughts?
Did we get any Fisk?
I thought we got a little bit.
I think we might have got a little, yeah.
I mean, I appreciate the little heist where he gets to be a clever hero, without the suit, providing an anthology like story of events, kind of the way they did is a fun idea, I guess. But I didn't think it was the time and place for it. That's not to mention the strange and unnecessary world building references to the Miss Marvel kid, even the Funko Pop. But that elements that hardly added anything to the overall story that was being told, it just kind of felt a little weird and out of place. I mean, I don't dislike the story or what happened. The joke part was a little, it is what it is, but it just felt weird and out of place to me.
What do you think?
I mean, I didn't hate the episode, right? Like, I think that it kind of served its purpose as moving forward the direction of him contemplating whether or not he wants to go be Daredevil, right? I think that, and we'll talk about this a little bit more because I have some thoughts on some of the later episodes, but like, I wasn't upset with it. I think the reason maybe it felt a little bit like a filler episode is because it was solely focused on this one event that like was out of the middle, like out of nowhere, and then like it didn't progress beyond that event. Where I feel like you could have maybe done half the episode with the bank, and then maybe another half of him doing like dialogue with people, maybe going to the church and doing a confessional about what he did, and then like you can kind of see the type of struggling that like he was going through, and instead it was just him in a him in a bank, just like trying to contemplate whether or not he wanted to go beat some guys up.
Yeah, I think that's when I was talking about before about it, the fact that you got the little bit of character development. I feel like that's the only thing that really plays into the plot at all. Because I think the issue you get is when you have the way that episode 4 ends, you expect episode 5 to kind of take another step forward to like, okay, now he's practicing with his weapon. Okay, so the next episode he's definitely putting the suit on and doing something. And so in this one, it's like, oh no, but we're going to give you this whole 40-minute episode about how he's still thinking about it. I'm like, yes, we know he's thinking about it, but do we really need an entire other episode? Like you said, I feel like it would have been better suited to have like half the episode of this, and then like maybe the second half is him, going out and what's this? I'm trying to think of what happens. He saves. Okay, we'll get to episode 6 in a minute, where he actually is Daredevil. This is a spoiler review, so whatever. But maybe it's something of just him saving somebody as Daredevil at the end of the episode, or something. Taking down some street thugs or something. Something like that, or whatever you want to do. But I think that like a large portion also is just like wasted with the bank robbers talking to the police, and it's just like I get that they're trying to make it like this tense situation, but it's given a lot of screen time to characters I don't care about. And so it's like, and like all those characters are not getting any more screen time after that episode. So you're basically just devoting an entire episode to building these bank robbers up who are nobodies. I mean, let's be honest, they're not part of the main narrative. So I don't know. I feel like they could have focused more on him, like maybe trying to actively resist intervening in that situation and be like, I can't do this. And then it comes to the point where he's like, okay, I can't not, help these people. It's just who I am. And so I don't know. I think a lot of times wasted on people, like I said, screen time for people we don't care about. And then like in general, the episode doesn't really tell us anything we don't already know about him, I think is where I'm at with it.
Yeah, I also think we kind of mentioned this, I wish we would have gotten more development out of Fisk in this episode too. Like if you're going to progress, Daredevil along in this direction, like I feel like Fisk also should have been kind of progressed, and we kind of ignored him until the 6th episode.
Yeah, and I guess since there's really not a whole lot more to talk about with this 5th episode, obviously he does intervene and stops the bank robbers and like gets his loan and all that, and then we jump into 6, and 6 is kind of like, it feels like 6 should have been 5, because when you jump from 4 to 6, you probably would not even notice episode 5 at all. Like that's the thing. Yeah. Like if you just deleted that, I don't feel like it would make a difference to the story, like whatsoever, other than the one scene where the girlfriend mentions him being at the bank when all that stuff happened. Like that would have been the only, and I think that doesn't even happen until episode 7. So it's like,
yeah, that's in this one.
Yeah. So we get into 6. 6 is kind of 6 actually. This is the weird thing. It's like they wanted to spend a lot of time with 5 focusing on Matt's character, and then 6 was like they focused a bunch on Fisk, but to me, not a lot changed with his character, I guess is the best way to put it. So like, I'm gonna be honest, Fisk, the storyline of Fisk as mayor is freaking boring. Like, to me at least. Like I don't find that compelling at all, because it's just him trying to do like like, yeah, we know from the first 3 seasons that he loves the city, but in those he was willing to like do the shady stuff and get his hands dirty because it was more effective and more, to the point, I guess you'd say, at least in his eyes. In this one, it's like, hey, let's go, rub elbows with these rich people and let's go. It's like, it's just not it. Like, it's just, to me, it's just not interesting. The parts where he's like doing shady things as mayor to get stuff done is more interesting, but there's just not a lot of that. It's like him talking with the one young guy and the shady British dude who's like, his henchman or what, his right hand man or whatever. So I don't know. It's just like I find that really, really boring. His whole arc of Mayor really, really boring. And so 6 to me was like just literally boredom until like the last 10 minutes when we get to see a little bit of Muse and we get to see actual Daredevil. And so I think it's kind of where I'm at with 6.
I just find it, I don't like it, but I find it funny in a bad way that the niece of the White Tiger basically guilt trips Matt into coming back. But to do that, she does her own dumb. I mean, she goes looking for a serial killer.
How dumb was that?
To move the plot forward, like. So that means Daredevil has to come out and get her. So I don't know. It just makes Matt's call to action. I get rushed. I'm trying to find. I guess uninspired would be another word. Uninspiring. I mean, given how much that he's been holding back the entire show. I mean, like we're more than halfway
6 episodes worth of holding back.
Yeah. So and that's what makes him come back. Really. I mean, like I get it, but I mean, it is what it is. At least it's happening. But fight choreography was pretty good to me. I just don't. It just seems like the punches they're throwing sometimes are just like weightless. Like everybody's just like absorbing them like they're nothing.
Do you feel so? Here's a possible theory to the whole him. I'm not saying I like the way they did it. I'm more on your side, but I would think maybe, and this is the problem with the show as a whole, is they expect you to assume too much and they explain very little, and I think that's an issue that can be easily resolved. But it's like I think maybe what they were trying to go for is the reason he came back for her was he felt like he owed it to her uncle, when he was killed after the trial. Maybe it's just the better angels in him, for lack of a better term, telling him, hey, you can't just let this kid be killed and everything. But I don't know. I don't think it was well delivered if that's what they're going for. Yeah. But that's at least maybe. Like, I don't know at this point with this show.
But I mean, they did this with the second or third episode. Like a character just acts like brutal beaten, like, almost dead, only for them to like get up and leave unnoticed.
Yeah.
A few minutes later. So it just makes it seem cartoony. They did a couple CGI shots in that fight scene that were not great. So I didn't.
The one where he kicked the guy into the wall and his body just like flailed.
Yeah, that's one of them.
Yeah.
I don't.
I've got a serious bone to pick with that. It'll leak over into episode 7, so I may wait. But I've got like a serious gripe that I'm going to bring up here in a second. But
I'm actually going to go against Johnny with the whole Fisk thing. To me, he's delivered the best performance as far as acting in the show, I think. You can see it all over his face. Conflicted mayor, gangster, slowly going back to his old ways. I've really enjoyed his performance. Now, some of the scenes, I'm with you. It's kind of like, all right, like get on with it. But I'm almost more excited to see. I'm almost. I'm not quite there. I'm almost excited to see what he's going to do more than Daredevil.
I have a theory for where I think the final 2 episodes are going to go, but I'll wait till we get to the end of 7 before I give mine. But
I think, I mean, this show still, even after episode 6, is not, still's got a lot to prove. I mean, it's not. We talked, I mean, me and John.
running out of time to prove it, too.
I know. And that's what me and you were talking about. Like, this was a whole 18 episode season, and they've cut it in half and done 2 seasons. Like, I wonder if they really wrote it that way. Or that
It feels like it does feel like an 18 because it's like we've taken the entire season to even get to the to starting the point of the show, you know. So yeah. I mean, Sykes, where are you at with episode 6?
So, if you would have given me episode 6, the last like 15 minutes of it, I would have said that episode 6 was the best episode out of the entire series. Period. That's including the other Daredevil series. The last 15 minutes of the episode. That's why I said I had a hot take.
Wait, like the first 3 seasons?
Yes.
Whoa,
yes.
Whoa.
The reason why
you need to go back and rewatch those.
No, the reason why the last 15 minutes where they're doing the parallel fighting and like they're like the story is building. Like that's not something that they did in the previous.
You're just talking about like the filmography style.
Yes.
You're not talking about like the actual substance of what's going on. Okay.
I'm talking about how I'm talking about like how they filmed it and how they parsed it together. Like it was some of the best like filmography or cinematography that the series has had. As far as like the correlation, like even to down to the, you know, Daredevil throws someone on a table, but Fisk also puts someone on the table, and like it's like flipping back and forth. Like, it was just really well done. And we'll talk about episode 7. I don't like the Muse storyline.
That's where I had a big gripe with, and this goes back, and I'm just going to go ahead. We'll just link 6 and 7 right in with each other because I can't talk about this without talking about episode 7. So, because like you said, the Muse storyline crosses over the 2 episodes. So, the issue that I've mentioned before in our other reviews is that this show feels very directionless to me in terms of the overall plot. And I mentioned that last time. And I think the Muse storyline is just another example of that because, he's sort of built up and to my understanding, he's actually in the comics. Like I said, I haven't read the comics where he's actually in them. I've only read a few of the Daredevil comics, so I'm not as familiar. But in my understanding, he's actually like a pretty formidable villain in the comics and is actually well liked by comic book fans. And so the first frustration I had with that whole plot line is like they introduce him heavily. That he's introduced in like episode 3 or 4 for the first time, very briefly. I think it's episode 4, and then we don't see him in episode 5 except maybe an appearance like at the very end of the episode. I can't remember. And then 6 obviously is when you get him, you see him kidnapping people and he's, painting these different things across the city. And then you get to the point where, the girl stupidly goes down in the tunnel by herself, this tiny, teenage girl is going down there. She gets kidnapped, of course she does, by Muse and carried to the lair. And Matt finds out from, I guess it's her aunt, that she's missing. And in a rush, he's like, and this is juxtaposed, like they're showing the scenes are flipping back and forth between her like laying on the table about to be, have all the blood drained out of her. And then like 5 seconds later, Daredevil's in the lair and he's found him and he's fighting him. And I'm like, this is something that Drew mentioned, is like there's no payoff there. It's like they don't, it's rushed. There's no tension to build up to it. It's just like they need him to be there to make the plot happen. And so he's just there without him having to do any kind of discovering. Because like there's all these tunnels all over the place. And like, yeah, she mentioned that he was in the subway tunnels, but it could have been anywhere in the city, and he just happens to know exactly which one she's in and exactly where she's at. And that was like frustrating for me, is like, one, the characters, the Muse character's interesting, but there's no, and like I knew the guy that showed up at the book signing was Muse in like episode 2 or whatever it is when he shows up the first time. Like I knew that was him before, and they try to make it a big reveal in episode 7, but it's like, no, I knew it was him.
Yeah, I was like, how does this, like, this is obviously him. Why are you making it like I'm Muse? It's like,
and that's like the whole story. Like you get into 7, and he's like, he's meeting with her, and he's like, you've been my inspiration, and it's like, yet there's been like one other line in episode 2 where he shows up and he's like, can you have me as like a patient or whatever? And it's like, there's no payoffs, there's no tension, there's no buildup, there's nothing to feed that. It's just like they need that to feed the plot, and so they put it in there, but because they haven't laid the foundation for that, it's just like weightless when it hits. It's just very like, and they want it to be really like dramatic and impactful, and it's just like, yeah, we don't know anything about this obsession he has with her because you haven't mentioned it until 2 seconds ago. And so
you know what he felt like? You know what Muse felt like? He felt like an underdeveloped villain you'd find in a one-off Arrow episode.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
And some of
those were probably better than. Yeah. Yeah. But that's the thing, is like they spend 2 episodes on this character, and they don't, like, he's just there and he's gone, and that's it. Like there's no that's my frustration with things, is there is no, this feels like a directionless show.
Well, in episode 7, I just lost interest. Like nothing about this character was interesting for Muse. Nothing. Like and it's already undercut by that Matt's already beat him once.
Right.
And he should have caught him the first time. Like I get what they're trying to do by going in with Matt's girlfriend, and that's an emotional tie, but we hadn't had any connection with her either. Like, what's her name? I don't remember.
It's like,
is that Heather? I don't know.
Heather, yeah. I was gonna say,
it just didn't land. I'm with you. It just didn't land. Like about halfway through this episode, I was like, I know what's about to happen. Like we can go on.
Yeah, I could have even told you that she was gonna shoot him at the end. Like there's nothing about it that wasn't predictable.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. That's what got me. Is it
the whole episode? I mean, like the whole series is it's predictable. And I think that's what makes it a little like iffy watching it, is because like even Sam, my wife, who hasn't watched anything besides the first episode, and she's watched all of the other Daredevils with me. She watches all the Marvel stuff, right? Like she was like, she watched the first episode, and then like I threw it on the TV, and she was watching the 6th and 7th episodes, and she was telling me what was going to happen.
Yeah.
like without even not saying like, oh, this is what's about to happen. Like she was like, oh, I like this is how this is going. And I'm just sitting there like, if a person that hasn't seen the series is telling you what's going to happen, like then you're not doing a good enough job at building the plot, throughout the entire series. I would have liked to know more about Muse, where he came from, what's the reason why he's doing what he's doing. Like,
I mean, they give you a 5-second exposition dump when he's in like he's like, oh well, parents were whatever, and it's like, yeah, but we don't know any. Like, who are you? You know, like as a
And
character.
and the previous series did a great job at like giving you flashbacks or giving you like little tidbits of like villains throughout the series, like even ones that maybe weren't going to be paid off until the next season. Like you see them in the prior season, maybe they're like hanging around at like a deli or something. You know what I'm saying? Like you're getting like exposure to these things, whereas like now it's, oh, by the way, in season 6 or in episode 6, this is where you see Muse for the first full time. This is where you see Muse. Oh, and then episode 7, Muse is now dead. And Muse is supposed to be this big thing that causes Matt Murdock to go back and be Daredevil again. And it was just because a girl went and decided to go find a serial
I mean,
killer.
just like Bullseye, he's another plot device. He's not. He's not. He doesn't serve any other purpose. I mean, it's one of those things that. I mean, I think of, even though season 2 of Daredevil is considered the weaker, and I would agree with that, of the 3 original as a whole. I think the example you're giving is like in that one. Think of how they build up Frank Castle. Like they explain his entire background through other characters basically looking into him throughout the season. And so you get slowly fed his backstory through, like, they're digging up these old newspaper articles, and they're talking to his old military superiors, and they're, learning all these things at the trial, and they're in the medical examiner and all these things. And it's slowly giving you the context. And then obviously when we watch the first season of The Punisher, we get the full story. But by that time, you know who he is as a character. And I think that's, like, with this one, like, if we didn't have the first 3 seasons of Daredevil, we wouldn't have a clue based on this season who Fisk and Matt are as characters.
Yeah.
And much less all these other side characters. And don't even get me started on the detective guy, where he's like so upset that Matt's back as Daredevil, and like he's like, I just don't want to see you fall off the wagon again. And I'm like, we don't know who you are. You've been here for like 5 seconds, and we don't know what kind of like this supposed relationship you have with Matt that we've not seen anything about. Like, we don't know you, man. Like, it's one of those things where it's supposed to, him being mad at Matt for being Daredevil again is supposed to be impactful, and it's just like, we don't even know who you are, and we don't care because your screen time's like 5 seconds, and this whole relationship between you and Matt's been basically force fed to us. It hasn't been something that's been organic, and so yeah, I don't care. It's like, whatever.
Perfect example of that. Like, why spend 5 minutes? Like, we spend like 4 or 5 minutes with the detective giving Fisk the, who is Muse, blah, blah. So why spend 5 minutes talking about Muse? And again, with first time we talk about, hey, he knows Taekwondo. Then the next scene, we spend 5 more minutes talk of Muse talking about how he knows Taekwondo. Just for Daredevil to come in and beat him. Like, that's just, to me, that's just amateur writing. I mean,
these people, they give me the vibe that they have no idea what they're doing. Like, they don't have a plan that is, because I said this, I think, in our very first review of this show, is they give me the vibe that they want to be different from the first 3 seasons, but they also are trying to, like, in another weird way, they're trying to, like, but because they have to, it's a sequel, they have to make it fit with those. But I get the feeling that they sort of resent the other show because they want to do bigger and better. The whole thing of like, we're going to reinvent this for the modern audience or whatever. It's like they want to do their own thing with it. And then we get these like 5-second shots of them cutting to random people walking on the street. And I'm like, there's probably like 6 or 7 of those in one episode. And I'm like, what purpose do those serve? Like, we know we're in New York. Like, we don't need that, It's just, to me, it's just a lot of waste and excess on stuff that doesn't matter,
I just didn't like that. Like, we're getting right now, especially, we're getting drama or action for the sake of action and drama for the sake of drama. Like it's not organic, like you're saying. It's just kind of made up, and it just feels superficial, and it doesn't, you know.
My issue with it, and it's my issue with a lot of the Disney Marvel TV shows, is they handhold the audience in the way, like in the plot. Like you're talking about the Taekwondo aspect where they spend 5 minutes talking about it, then the other guy spends 5 minutes talking about it. Like it's like they're trying to drill home a point that at the end of the day, it didn't matter because a gun beat him. Right?
Yeah.
Like
he brought a sword to a gunfight.
yeah, like how much did that Taekwondo really help him? Right? Like even in the wherever they were made the office or whatever, like they fight for maybe 2 minutes, and then he uses his grapples to prevent him from stabbing the girl, and the girl
Which was
grabs the gun.
actually kind of cool, by the
Yeah.
way. When he stabbed, that was actually kind of cool. I was like, oh.
Yeah. And then the girl picks up a gun and shoots him.
Oh, here's another thing. So until that one sequence, and let's do a little rewind here. Muse kills his victims by drugging them or knocking them out or whatever he does, carrying them to wherever, and then stabbing them, injecting them with a needle and sucking their blood out, basically. We've never seen him have any other method. So he shows up to the office with Heather. She's unarmed, and he brings the gun with him. Like, we've never seen him use a gun. Not saying he can't have them, but it's like he doesn't strike me as a guy like knows Taekwondo. It's like he's not. To me, it's almost like he just has the gun so that she can use it to shoot him later. Like, it doesn't necessarily fit the character as much that he just carries around this gun with him everywhere, when we haven't actually seen him use that weapon at all. I know he's only been in there a brief time, but to me, it almost feels like another plot device to be like, oh, this gun needs to be here to make this happen. So,
and then all of a sudden, the chick as well, who's shown no signs of like violence or like any type of courage, like gets a gun and shoots him like 5 times, and I'm like, and then she just wakes up and she's like, "Oh, I killed him." And then Daredevil goes, like, but on the new, so like this is where it didn't make sense to me, right? Matt Murdock, she doesn't know that Matt Murdock is Daredevil, correct?
No.
She goes and kills the guy, but on the news, it's reported that the special task force kills the guy. So then when Matt Murdock when she goes, "Oh, I killed him," and he goes, "Oh, I know," how would he know? Because the news was reporting that the task force killed him.
Well, that's where this, to me, is like they don't know what they're doing. Like, I'm convinced that the people writing the show don't know what they're doing, and they make this stuff up it feels like they make it up as they go along, like legitimately. And it's like the scene in episode, I believe it's 11 of season 1 of Daredevil, where at the very end of the episode, where James Wesley kidnaps Karen, takes her to the warehouse. Like, we know because of what Karen's been through in that season that she darn well will pull that trigger if given the opportunity, because we've had character development that leads us to that. And the point you're making is a great one, is the fact that, like, Heather's character, we have no character development to the point where she doesn't even strike you as a violent individual yet. Now you might could make the argument, oh, well, he slit her wrist or slit her arm open and was threatening to kill her, and she's in a panic, and maybe she's, fight or flight sort of thing. But the point being, like with Karen, it's like she's not necessarily a killer in the sense of like evil, but at the same time, she would totally pull the trigger. And then when you get her origin story in season 3, where she like you can clearly see she knows how to use a gun, it's like
That's another
yeah,
thing. It's
yeah.
like,
So it's like but that's the thing. It's like there's always build up and payoff for those characters because they're well written characters. In this one, there's no these are very, very thin characters. Like they just are. There's no substance to them. Even Matt and Fisk at times, if they did not have the previous 3 seasons, they would be thin characters. And it's just everything left of this show is hanging on by what we know from those 3 seasons. Like it just is. And the question I posed last time is like, if none of the other MCU shows existed and it was just us comparing this to the first 3, how would people be receiving this show right now? And I think it would be like rotten on Rotten Tomatoes, and I think it would be, really low scores on IMDb. So I'm kind of over it at this point, but I am going to give you my prediction because I think I know exactly how this season's going to end. I think, well, obviously with Muse being out of the picture, that the final 2 episodes, Fisk is going to send his task force to hunt down Daredevil, and this is another thing too. The whole Vanessa thing at the end of episode 7. Where did that come from?
I don't know.
Like they're trying to go to counseling to fix things, and it seems like they're heading in the right direction. And now all of a sudden she just wants to kill him. I'm like, okay.
I think she just kind of took advantage of that situation. Like, I mean, does she miss being in charge? Yeah, probably. But do I think she's really against Fisk? No. Like, that was another one of those. Like, as soon as Luca looked at her and said, "So, are we going to get rid of Fisk?" You know what I mean? Like, I was like, "Well, he's about to die."
Yeah, no, we knew he was about, like, when he walked into that restaurant. I was like,
knew before that.
Yeah, yeah, he's toast.
But somebody asked me that today. Do I think Vanessa was against Fisk? I said no. I said I think she was just playing that. Whatever way
this was something that crossed my mind too. Is did she set all that up with Fisk beforehand? Is what I was wondering, because they make it very vague to where she could have just told Luca, "Hey, he's alone." But in reality, they'd set the whole thing up for them to just take him out. But then I was like, yeah, but then you start, like, you had all this stuff about, wanting him to pay this money to these people to fix everything. And it's like killing him just starts a gang war, like, I don't know. It's just, it's just the thin nature of the plot. Just, they don't, too much has to be assumed. Like, too much has to be, like, that's the thing. Like, we don't even know what her true intentions are. Was she trying to kill him? Was she trying to set the gangster dude up? Like, we don't freaking know because they don't explain anything. So that's another thing. But I think Fisk's going to send his task force after Daredevil, and I think that I just had my mind just went blank, but I think that Vanessa I think she actually is trying to get him out of the way. I don't think it makes sense.
She's going to be the season 2 villain.
Yeah, I think something's going to happen. Now, for one thing, I think that it's going to be like they're going to have like some kind of big cliffhanger at the end of 9. It's not even going to be, nothing's going to be resolved. It's going to feel like a halfway through a season, just like the whole season has been. But I think that Heather, Fisk's going to find out the Heather connection, kidnap her, and then in some form or fashion, he's going to have to go rescue her. The task force, while he's being hunted, obviously, or they're gonna lure him in there somehow. I don't know. There's gonna be that's gonna be the nature, I think, of how all of that goes. But I'm also just like, but they haven't really built up to that at all, and so it's just like it's just gonna happen in 2 episodes, much like the rest of the season has been. So
You know what I think is going to happen? Because they're kind of hinting at this with how Daredevil's been beating people up. This is a really hot take. I think Daredevil's going to kill Kingpin.
you think he's gonna kill him at the end of the season?
Yeah. Think about it.
That'd be a cool way to end it. But
Yeah, but it would also be like basically destroy the endings of seasons 1 and 3 because like the whole point.
But that's what they're trying to do is make it their own thing.
I'm gonna be ticked off, dude. Like if that happens.
Think about it. They've been teasing that he was about to kill people like 4 or 5 times throughout this.
Yes, but the whole point of season 3 is that he is pushed to the brink. Like he's convinced he has to do that, and it's his friends that basically keep him in the light, more or less. Like they're the ones.
And guess who's not there anymore?
Well, and that's an excellent point. And like I said, like if they do it, it won't surprise me.
It'll make you mad.
It's just going to make me. It's going to basically undo a lot of what season 3 has done already. So,
the reason why I say that is I think that because obviously Fisk knows who Matt is. Like that's pretty well known, and I think that what's going to end up happening is Heather, his girlfriend, is going to try to come out and speak out about how the task force didn't actually kill, Muse. Fisk is going to get mad, which is going to make Fisk go. And again, this is just me speculating. Fisk is going to try to stop her from speaking because it's going to make him look bad, and then Matt's going to have to go and kill Kingpin because he does something to Heather. That's my thought process.
Yeah, I don't think Heather's going to make it to the end of the season. I'm going to put it that way.
I don't either.
Which apparently I'd seen something in the comics where I think they said I want to say she like maybe kills herself or something. Yeah, it's like dark apparently in the comics. So like, yeah, she's yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. I need to read that, which it's weird because like they're not, so they already did the Born Again storyline in season 3. So it's not, so I think they're borrowing from like other
They are
comics.
It's not the actual Born Again comics.
Yeah.
Doing right now.
But
so. More to come.
Yeah.
Yep, and I guess we will see. And I think they are releasing the final 2 episodes next week. So I don't think it's going to be strung out, at least from the last I heard about the release schedule. So that'll be completely wrapped by next week, which is insane how it's already done and feels like we haven't even gotten started. So
it also feels like, and we can wrap it up after this. Do you feel like this season's been a whole lot of nothing?
I've been saying it that like for all of our reviews.
He said it from day one.
No, but like even like looking back at it now, like I at least thought like coming off the previous episode that we filmed, I was like, I think we all were pretty excited about the next few episodes. That like,
I mean, we were excited about the possibilities for sure. Yeah.
And now like you're looking back on it and you're like,
literally like 3 episodes later, nothing has happened. Really,
except for they put on Fisk went back to being Fisk, and then Daredevil went back to being Daredevil,
which we knew was going to happen from the trailers.
Yeah.
Which like that's what I told Drew the other day. Like we knew from the trailers that was going to happen. Like we knew he was going to like. So that's the thing. It's like they're not they're trying to seem like they're doing this nuanced story, but at the same time, we're seeing stuff that's like, yeah, we knew all this, and also you haven't done anything for 7 episodes, so yeah, I'm very unimpressed. We'll give at our next review, and I don't know if we'll try to do our final review next week since the show's ending, or how we'll do it exactly, but we will give our like final like 1 to 10 rating of the entire season when it finishes up. So we may try to do that next week if they're finishing up on Tuesday, just so we can wrap it up. And because I'd be curious, I think we'd all like to voice our thoughts on the entire season soon after it ends. So we'll see. But yeah, it's looks like about one more week, and we'll know, or we won't. So